Northeast Tonight, brought to you by Oil India Limited, conquering newer horizons.
Hello and welcome to Northeast Tonight, the show that decodes the region. I am Wasbir Hussain. It is now well known that a breakthrough to the Naga problem has been reached and an agreement ending 7 decades of insurrection may be signed anytime. But the real challenge for the Naga leaders across the spectrum will come only after the deal is clinched. The big question is, can the Naga groups who will be signatories to the Naga Accord be able to unite and work together in the days ahead to implement the deal? What are the possible mistakes in governance that the new set of Naga leaders are going to rectify? Can the Naga area see progress and development? And if so, what could these be? After all, generations of Nagas have been affected directly or indirectly by the long-drawn movement led by various Naga rebel factions. Will we see an interim government? And if so, will the transition be smooth? In short, what everyone wants to know is how could the road look like for the Nagas hereafter? Well, to discuss the issue, I am joined from Kohima by Dr. Rosemary Juvisu, advisor to the influential Naga Mothers Association and a professor at Nagaland University. Also in Kohima, I have Mr. Teza Terry, a senior leader of the Naga Tribes Council. From Dimapur, I am joined by one of the senior-most Naga political leaders, Mr. S.C. Jamir, former Chief Minister and Governor. And joining me also from Dimapur is Naga Hoho advisor, Mr. Chuba Ozukum. Besides, I have in Shillong Dr. Javier Mao from the Northeastern Hill University, an academic who at times have contrasting views on issues. And in the studios in Guwahati, I have Arunav Goswami, the Assistant Director at the Center for Development and Peace Studies. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Northeast Tonight. I'd like to go straight to you, Dr. Rosemary Joviso. 22 years of peace negotiations, 7 decades of turmoil in Nagaland. You are one of those who have been at the back end, negotiating back and forth to hold on to the ceasefire, and at the end of the day, we have reached this position. Are you a happy person today, Dr. Rosemary Juviso?
Definitely, Wasbir. This is a happy moment for all of us, and especially the Naga Mothers Association. We are very happy that the groups have come to an understanding. We are also happy and grateful to the Government of India for bringing about this understanding with the different groups.
Now my obvious question, Dr. Rosemary, my obvious question, we are all happy. You are happy, people in Nagaland are happy, we are also happy. But the point is, do you agree that the real challenge for the Naga leadership begins only now? Because so long we have been saying that if the Naga settlement comes about, everything will be all right in Nagaland, it will progress and development will be rapid. But do you think it is easier said than done? Do you think the real challenge to leadership comes only now?
Wasbir, it will be a challenging task, but I think the fact that all of them have come to such an understanding because they care for the people, they care for the Nagas, I think it should not be too difficult a task. Yes, there are lots of skeptics, but I think we are very positive that we must make it work for the sake of the younger generation.
Absolutely. Mr. Teza Terry, your colleague there, Dr. Rosemary, absolutely optimistic there, but yes, it is challenging. But my question to you is specific, Mr. Teza Terry. We have 7 NNPGs, Naga National Political Groups on one side. We have the NSC and IM on the other side. Just before this breakthrough, there was a lot of acrimonious exchanges between the two sides. Particularly the NSCN-IM has accused the NNPGs of being opportunists. But at this juncture, when everybody is ready to sign the peace agreement, what thoughts cross your mind? What do you think should be the behavior of everyone?
Yeah, Wasbir, the long-awaited negotiations have come to an end. And we know different groups, they have different approach, different ideology. But our goal, our objective is the same. I don't see any reason why we should not be able to come together and sign the same agreement.
We will wait and watch. It's only a matter of time. These are only the initial rounds of observations from my panelists. Quickly go to Mr. S.C. Zamir, one of the most veteran political leaders from Nagaland, who had been Chief Minister of Nagaland several times, one of the topmost Congress leaders during his time. Mr. S.C. Zamir, there has been a lot of flip-flops during the last 22 years of negotiations. What do you think? How do you feel at this stage when there is supposed to be a breakthrough? Mr. Zamir.
I am the happiest man to hear the conclusion of long drawn up Naga problem on 31st of October 2019.
Right.
As all men, I am the happiest person to see this logical conclusion of the problem in my lifetime.
Okay. Now, Mr. Zamir, negotiations are a tricky affair. Negotiations are always a tricky affair. Do you think the signing of the agreement will be smooth? Because signatures are not yet put on the dotted lines. Do you think the signing will be smooth, Mr. Zamir?
I have great hope on the leaders of those political groups. They are guided by wisdom and political foresight in resolving this long drawn up political issue, and also the magnanimity shown by the government of India. These two combined will definitely ensure a peaceful transition of political issue in Nagaland.
Absolutely. Please stay on, Mr. Zamir. I'm coming back to you. Mr. Chuba Zukum, you have been one of the topmost leaders of the Naga Hoho. You had been the president of the Hoho, now you are the advisor. What are your initial comments? Are you also as happy as everyone else? Mr. Chuba Zukum.
Yeah, on the part of Naga Hoho, we have already congratulated the negotiator, the interlocutor and the governor of Nagaland, Mr. R.N. Ravi, and also the negotiators from NSCN-IM and the 7 NMBGs for bringing the 22 years of political negotiation to an end.
True. Now you see, in the last moments of the negotiations, there were a lot of hiccups because the NSCN-IM stuck to their demand for a flag and a constitution. I have a simple question. There have been discussions for 22 years. Why was this issue not resolved so long? Why was the issue of the flag and the constitution kept for the last moment? What was the problem? What do you think, Mr. Chuba Zukum?
I don't think, Wasbir, it was not only the last moment, but if I remember correctly, the interlocutor and the NSCN-IM negotiators, they have been trying to resolve their differences on these two particular issues for quite a long time.
Okay.
And they could not resolve it, so till the last moment, they had to bring these issues and then figure out their differences.
Hold on, all right, hold on, Mr. Ozukum. Dr. Javier Mao, from a little distance, that is, you are based in Shillong, what are your initial thoughts? What are your observations? how do you look at the negotiation process till this stage when a breakthrough is supposed to have arrived at? Dr. Mao.
The negotiation has taken too long for 22 years, and even now, as per the national newspaper, the negotiator R.N. Ravi said that integration of the Naga adjoining dominated area is to be left to the NACN-IM's court to consult the three states, that is Manipur state, Arunachal Pradesh state, and Assam state. So unless that important concern and genuine problem and aspiration of the Nagas are addressed, I do not think the accord will last very long. It may be slightly better than maybe the Shillong Accord. So unless this important point is addressed,
but Dr. Mao,
I do not think, and I'm not quite optimistic at all.
All right, but,
Yes.
but Dr. Mao, don't you think that the Naga negotiators from the Naga side, the leaders of the NSCN-IM and the 7 NNPGs, don't you think they are mature enough? They have been negotiating for decades now, particularly the NSCN-IM. 22 years is a long time. Do you think they would not have gone into all these aspects? Why are you worried?
Therefore, well, from the government of India's side, they may be very adamant in conceding this important demand. Therefore, if that is the case, it may be the fault of the government of India. They should also see and understand the genuine problem. Just because they are the major important player, they cannot impose their view, and thereby, if it is imposed, and if NSCN-IM as a weaker, minor group, then out of necessity and compulsion, they may accept.
Right.
But then
let's have everybody on the screen.
Problem,
yes.
In a permanent way. This is my observation.
All right, Dr. Mao, stay on. Arunav, you know how, as someone who see today, all the panelists are prominent personalities, the top voices representing the Naga people. You are perhaps the only non-Naga in this panel today. As from outside, how do you look at this situation? What is your observation? Where are we heading for? Are things going to be smooth?
Well, one thing I would want to say that this is not the ending but just the beginning. The signing of the accord is just the starting of a process of development for Nagaland which has not been taking place for last 60 years, which the Naga group themselves have been saying. So it is just the beginning of a process. So and if the beginning has certain hiccups, the next journey would not be good. So it is imperative for the Naga groups to come together, chart a process for the future, what they want to do, and only then this accord will be truly fruitful and bring development for the Nagas.
Okay, Dr. Rosemary, you know, now we have to ask certain basic questions, you know, which are fundamental questions. Now, fine, the Naga agitation has been, the Naga movement has been going on for 7 decades, but actually I think the Naga start, I would like to look at 1929 as the start when the Simon Commission came to Nagaland. You know, when the Naga Club, at the Naga Club, they petitioned the Simon Commission saying that Nagas should be left alone and so on. You know, if we take that as the beginning, it has been a long time. My question is, now the Nagas, generations after generations, they have been, you know, denied the equal pace of development. They are not at par with the other states, many other states in the country today. Now, we are all happy that the Naga Accord is going to be signed. It is going to bring peace in Nagaland. My question is, what about the governance structure from now on? You know, in Mizoram, we saw an interim government being installed, but there was only one group. It was fairly easy for the Mizos to have one group, Mr. Laldenga being installed as the chief minister of the interim government. How do you look at the road ahead? That is my question.
Well, Wasbir, like any other agreements, probably we will have to look at some kind of an interim government. It may not be like the Mizo Accord and the governance that followed because of the different groups, the different political groups that we have. But at the same time, if you look at the Northern Ireland Good Friday Agreement, you did have the nationalists as well as the IRA, the Sinn Féin, who came in together to form an interim government. So it all depends on what the government of India and the negotiators will be planning. I think perhaps the NTC, Mr. Teja Atheria, would probably have a better idea on how the way is going to be ahead.
Okay, yes, let me take this to Teza Terry himself in that case. Mr. Teza Terry, can you answer this question? What is the road ahead? How could it look like now? Because at the end of the day, these are governance issues. People have to be governed. The Naga people have to be governed. Now the accord has to be implemented. So under the constitutional setup, Indian constitutional setup, things have to move forward. Now, how do you look at it?
Yeah, government of India from the beginning, they have recognized that Naga political history is unique. And government of India also has acknowledged, recognized the Naga people have the right to determine their own future. And to this unique history, definitely a new dispensation that will also be unique. And there should not be any problem as far as the interim is concerned. A new system, a new dispensation, so a new form of interim is expected. And whatever is agreed upon the negotiation table, we are not preview. We don't know in what way they want to translate these things. We don't want in what way they will let the solution be landed on the ground. But whatever it may be, it will be unique, it will be acceptable.
Absolutely, that's a very interesting. That is a very interesting way of putting it. If the Naga peoples can be considered or seen as unique, I think the government that is going to be formed, interim government, can also be unique. That is what Mr. Teza Terry is saying. We'll have to wait and watch as to how things unfold. But Mr. Jamir, Mr. S.C. Jamir, about the flag and the constitution, which are very, very symbolic but extremely sentimental for the Naga people. We all know it. The government seems to have agreed to let the Nagas use its flag on socio-cultural events. But things are not very clear on the constitution. Now, opposition leader, NPF leader T.R. Jeliang had told me in a recent interview that such matters, discussions on such matters can go on even after the Naga peace accord is signed. Mr. Jamir, what do you think?
Unless I see the text, it's difficult to comment on that. Yeah, because I don't know the details of it.
Okay. Now, but what should be the priorities of the Naga leadership from now on? Because we are talking about an interim government. My panelists are saying that there has to be an interim government, and another panelist, Mr. Terry, has said that the interim government can also be unique. But my question to you, Mr. Jamir, what should be the priority for the Naga people and the Naga leadership from now onwards, hereafter? Mr. Jamir.
The first thing is rehabilitation of all those people who have been in the jungle for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. A suitable resettlement has to be worked out, number one. Secondly, through various, expertise, we have to streamline the administration in order to cope with the new challenges after this settlement. And thereafter, Government of India should give us handsome amount for the development of this area, because our people have suffered too long. Because of this insurgency, we have not been able to carry on normal development work. And we have to catch up the rest of the country, and this can be done only when a generous assistance be given to Naga areas.
Well, generous assistance, that is what Mr. Jamir is talking about. He's talking about a generous economic package. I'm coming to you, Dr. Mao, but before that, Mr. Chuba Uzukum, Mr. S.C. Jamir is talking about a generous contribution from the central government to bring about development. He is basically obviously talking about an economic package. How to bring about peace, progress and development among the Naga people according to you, Mr. Ojukum?
Yeah, Wasbir, you are right. It's really a big challenge for each and every Naga citizen. It is not only for the different Naga political groups,
Right.
but the entire Naga people, not only in Nagaland state or Manipur like that, but in all the Naga inhabited areas, wherever Nagas are there, it has become imperative for all of us to think seriously and then to come together so that we will be able to achieve our desired goal. Otherwise, now you say even the final agreement is yet to be signed.
Yeah.
And to sign the agreement, there are a lot of problems which lies ahead of us. Differences may also crop up, even between different political groups, and also between the interlocutor and the negotiators, that which group and who should sign, that is the question now. So unless we resolve this amicably, there will be a lot of hiccups and the problems. That is what I feel. But now the thing is, what we observe is all the on the part of political groups, they have now they came together within the framework of between NSNIM and the government of India.
Right. Right.
So now all the groups have to unite and work out the modality.
All right, all right, all right. Professor Mao, you know, Mr. Chuba Ojukum, the advisor of the Naga Hoho, he's saying that, you know, basically saying that, yes, we have resolved some differences, but, you know, things are still very difficult because the accord has not yet been signed. How do you predict who is going to sign the accord? Will we have signatures from all the 7 groups? Is the NSCNIM going to sign a separate piece of paper? I mean, you know, things are still, a lot of things, questions, answers to a lot of questions have not yet arrived. And that we'll get to know these answers only when the accord is signed, actually. So what is your prediction? I'm coming to you, Dr. Rosemary. I'm coming to you in a moment. Yes, Professor Mao.
Well, as I said earlier, unless the basic and fundamental aspirations of the people and concerns of the people are addressed, whichever group the government of India may sign, either NNPG or NSNIM, I am very much certain that the peace accord will not last very long. It will be like Shillong Accord, or maybe a little better than
Why
Shillong
are you
Accord.
pessimistic?
Therefore,
Why are you so pessimistic?
My humble suggestion is the government of India political leadership be far-sighted and address the basic important aspiration. Unless that is done, I do not think it will have a lasting peace accord. This is my observation.
Okay, Dr. Rosemary, you have heard Professor Mao. He's saying that basically, you know, unless the aspirations are fulfilled, unless the aspirations of the people are fulfilled, the accord is not going to last. But how do we know today that the aspirations are not going to be fulfilled by the accord, because we don't know what is there in the agreement, going to be there in the agreement?
Yes, Wasbir, you must remember that for the last 22 years, these negotiators have been on the table. That is the NSE and IM. You also have the 7 NNPGs who have been working hard with almost very similar kind of modalities and arrangements for the future. At this point in time, I really don't want to be pessimistic. We cannot afford to be so. I think I told you in your last show, we cannot afford to be pessimistic. And I think we will see the signing of the accord and also with all the groups coming forward, at least in the larger interests of the Nagas. I think that is what we have to look forward to.
And you know, Dr. Rosemary, it is not just the 7 NNPGs.
Yeah.
It is Dr. Rosemary, it is not just the 7 NNPGs and the NSC and IM. Lot of civil society groups, including your group, that is the Naga Madras Association, the Chars, the Naga Tribes Council, the Naga Hoho. Leaders of all these parties did so much of backroom negotiations to hold on, to put all the Naga political groups on track. Do you think their efforts will go in vain? Their efforts obviously cannot go in vain, isn't it?
Definitely, Wasbir. And I think as of now, they have the full support of the Nagas. And I think this is a crucial and best time for all of them to seriously think of sitting down together and hammering out differences and seeing what is best for the Nagas. I also want to talk to Xavier here, who's on the panel. Perhaps the fact that he is living quite far away from us, he has every reason to be pessimistic. But I hope at least by December, we will see him in Nagaland, happy and celebrating with us.
Professor Mao, are you going to have a Christmas celebration in Nagaland this time?
Please.
Happy? Professor Mao?
Not at all.
Why
at all.
not?
I'm not that optimistic.
No, but don't you want to be happy in Nagaland, celebrating Christmas?
I wish very much that. Well, I wish very much that a permanent, important, substantive resolution and settlement is made. But I do not know whether
Professor Mao,
will be made or not.
Professor Mao,
yes, please.
Give me an assurance right on this show that if the accord is up to your expectations, you will end up in Nagaland and celebrate Christmas along with the rest of the people. You have to give this assurance today.
Maybe.
Yes, at least Mr. Teza Terry, Javier has said maybe. So he has little calmed down. His optimism is slowly coming in. Mr. Teza Terry, what do you have to say?
Oh yes, the negotiators, they are negotiating on behalf of the people. Whichever group they belong, they will all sign agreement. And people have given us support for the peaceful solution. And at this moment, we expect every stakeholders to be positive about this. And this solution will definitely bring us together, to reason together how to coexist, how to live together, and how to sort out our differences.
Okay,
so
I'll have to.
It's a great opportunity. This solution will not have a roadblock to our aspiration.
Absolutely. I'll have to go for a short break, but before that, Arunav, can you completely, ignore what Professor Javier Mao is saying? Because there is the proverbial slip between the cup and the lip. We have been monitoring a lot of accords in the northeastern region. You agree to certain things, but when the signing time comes, certain things change. Do you think, are you worried on that count, or do you think the Naga negotiators are very tough negotiators, and at least this time we don't have any worry?
Well, I think I am more optimistic this time, because if you see, there has been very tough negotiations, as you said, and all the groups have been getting pressurized from the civil society groups in Nagaland as well. And the negotiation has been going for more than 2 decades, and the Nagas want to see a solution. So I am sure all the 8 groups are now sitting together, charting a path of progress, thinking of what should be the common issues on the accord. When they sign, I am sure there is going to be one accord, and all the 8 groups will be in accordance.
Okay, I think people who are optimistic are much more. I'm coming back to you, Dr. Javier Mao. You are in the minority today, but still I'll give you an opportunity to speak your point of view, because we are extremely democratic, like the Naga people. We are very, very democratic. On that note, I go for a short break. Don't go away. I'll be right back after this very, very short commercial. welcome back. Going to Chuba Uzukum. Mr. Chuba Uzukum, do you think pragmatic and good governance is necessary from the Naga leadership this time round and at this juncture? Pragmatism is the key. Don't you think so?
Now, after the signing of final agreement, it has to be approved by the parliament, and necessary things has to be done. And what I feel is, after the approval in the parliament, it has become imperative between government of India and the negotiators to think what type of government have to be set up to take off all challenges.
Okay. So you are saying that, you are saying that good governance is necessary, but that was my question. But you talked about that pragmatism was my question, but you talked about interim government. Mr. Thezateri, that is what Mr. Thezateri is saying. Okay, let me go to Mr. S.C. Jamir. Now, there is tremendous apprehension in neighboring Manipur, Arunachal, Assam. They fear the Naga Accord could infringe on their integrity and interest. So, what do you have to say, Mr. Jamir?
Prime Minister, Home Minister, and even interlocutor have said very clearly that in the framework agreement, nothing is mentioned about territorial integrity of the northern states, including Manipur, Arunachal, and Assam. I think that clears the matter.
Okay. Now, another point I would like to know from you, Mr. Jamir. Can we now safely say that once the agreement is signed and announcement made, can we say that the issue is over? Because the real test of Naga leadership comes only now. How to bring in progress and development, that is the key. Do you think discussions would have already started by now? Mr. Jamir.
Definitely, as I have said earlier, post-settlement will be much more challenging. And in order to have a smooth selling of all this agreement, we require efficient, effective, transparent administration. And therefore, this is the most challenging task for the Naga leadership to work out.
Okay. Now, Dr. Rosemary, let us face the issue. Let us face the issue. There is a lot of apprehension in Manipur, despite statements by the Union Home Minister saying that they have nothing to fear. People are out on the streets almost every day. People are calling for a joint session of the State Assembly and so on and so forth. The state political leadership, the entire BJP leadership and the all-party delegation was sitting in Delhi trying to put pressure. Now, do you think that it would have been imperative, it would have been good for the Naga leaders to have a discussion with all the stakeholders in the neighboring states? At the end of the day, the Nagas have been fighting for a peace settlement. They wanted a peaceful solution to their problem. Now, if you have an accord, and if your neighbors are burning, because of certain apprehensions, do you think things will be, would you like things to be that way? Dr. Rosemary.
See, Wasbir, conversations with our neighbors has been going on for quite some time. And if you remember media reports, even the government of India has had conversations with some of the leaders from the neighboring states. And I think the work ahead for us, the civil society as well as for the other people who are concerned with relations with our neighbors, is that definitely we will be reaching across to the different organizations in the different states to ensure and understand that peace for the Naga people is something that is so crucial and important.
No.
I'm sure looking at 70 decades of conflict,
right,
they would not grudge us the fact that it is time for Nagas to be together.
Now, Dr. Rosemary, are you making a general statement, or are you from the civil society already have concrete plans to go and have discussions with the major stakeholders in Manipur, Arunachal and Assam. Is it a general statement you are making, or do you really have plans to go out and talk to them?
Wasbir, there are plans to go ahead. If you remember even other crucial incidents, the Naga Mothers Association have reached out to the Mera Paibis on many occasions. When there was a blockade in Manipur, we had taken the trouble to go and have a sitting with Ibobi, and we were also a part of the delegation that met Chidambaram years ago during the Mao crisis in 2010 and worked for an alternative, for looking at alternatives.
Right, but
it is not that we don't have connections with our
I am
Northeast
once
neighbors.
again asking you.
We definitely
I am
will be
once
doing
again.
so.
I am once again asking you, Dr. Rosemary, because the Naga Mothers Association and you basically you have been engaged in very, very serious peace negotiations, trying to keep things on track, trying to keep the ceasefire on track, trying to put reason into some of the groups, so on and so forth. But now I am asking you a very specific question. How soon are you going to have talks with counterparts, fellow civil society leadership in Manipur particularly?
Wasbir, we have been watching the last few updates on our television and reading the newspapers and very disturbed. The Naga Mothers Association, we have been discussing. We will be reaching out to the Mera Paibis. We will also be reaching out to different organizations. That actually should be the responsibility of all of us who live here as neighbors.
Absolutely, absolutely. The breaking news at this point is that the Naga Mothers Association has decided to reach out not only to the Mera Paibis but other organizations to break this impasse, to remove any fear and apprehension and prepare the ground for a peaceful situation after the Naga peace agreement is signed. Okay, Mr. Teza Terry, let me go to Mr. Teza Terry. You have heard Dr. Rosemary saying that the NMA is seriously considering to have fresh round of discussions, fresh contacts with the Mera Paibis and other organizations, so that the ground is prepared. Once the peace accord is signed, everybody comes to understand what it really is. There is no misconception. So now, is the Naga Tribes Council also planning anything on this, on similar lines?
Yeah. Nagaland Tribe Council is also a state unit of the Northeast Indigenous Peoples Forum. We have discussed in several occasions in Mizoram, Imphal, Assam and Meghalaya that the Northeast as a region is a small region. We have to learn to live together. As much as we want the Nagas to live together and to have a conducive and a good atmosphere, that much we want a good relationship with our neighboring states and other ethnic group. And unless we come together, we cannot resolve or we cannot pursue our common aspiration. I think Northeast, we need to have a common network.
So in the coming days,
programs,
which
we will definitely reach out to them.
Okay, how soon can that happen? Because this is a very, very critical juncture for the Naga people, for the Northeast, for the country. This is an extremely critical juncture. Do you think the Naga Tribes Council initiative could come sooner, in the next couple of days, to break the impasse, to actually remove the fears and apprehension, to have a congenial atmosphere?
At the moment, not in the organization level, but people to people, we have interaction. We are of the view that our friends from Manipur, the Métis, they have every right to have apprehension because they don't know what is inside the agreement. But at the same time, I think there is no cause for them to worry because enough assurance is being given by the government of India. At the same time, this peaceful negotiation, this solution have to have equal dividend for all the states. And the solution to Naga political problem should definitely be a solution to the Northeast, entire Northeast region.
Absolutely.
I think we should
Now,
all come together.
we should all come
accept
together.
it,
Now,
and we should also enjoy the fruit of this achievement together.
absolutely. Professor Mao, do you agree that there is need for the Naga civil society today, urgent need rather, to go and have direct contacts and discussions with their counterparts, the civil society groups in Manipur particularly, apart from Assam and Arunachal? Professor Mao.
Well, that is also necessary, but it is not at all sufficient because there will be a conflict of interest. Therefore, the powerful player, that is the government of India, like creation of Uttarakhand state, Jharkhand state, Telangana state, should critically examine whether the neighboring states' aspirations and their voice, do they have solid foundation? Do they have rational, reasonable, logical demands or not? If not, I think just unreasonable, irrational demand cannot be considered. For example, Manipur, Imphal Valley is called the Kanglei Pak, that is the Manipuri land. The Nagas are not at all demanding even a single inch of the Manipuri land. And likewise, in Arunachal Pradesh, the Nagas are demanding only the Naga area, ancestral home, not even an inch of the other Arunachal tribal people's land. So that should be very clear. There shouldn't be any ambiguity at all in this. If that is the case, I think that should be examined by the government of India, and the rational, reasonable, logical, proper, genuine should be addressed by the government of India, because government of India is the powerful player in this conflict.
So Professor Mao,
conflict in interest,
I got your
should
point.
be
Professor
mediated
Mao,
by the government of India.
Yes,
please.
Professor Mao, are you then
Yes,
saying
please.
are you then saying that integration is a must? Are you then saying that integration of Naga areas is a must?
Definitely.
So
Definitely, without this, I am telling you, the accord will not last long. That is a must.
Okay. Yeah. See,
For the-
Arunav,
70 years, more than 70 years of struggle without having a common administrative roof, how can the solution be substantial? It is only cosmetic. No doubt development and progress is a must. That is also very important. But the Naga problem is political problem. Apart from development, economic development, even that concern, that genuine problem has to be addressed by the government of India. Then that will bring about a lasting political settlement and solution.
Right. Very powerful statement there, very strong statement, Arnav, by Professor Mao. He's saying that integration is a must. Without that, the accord is not going to succeed. I'm coming with this question to both Rosemary as well as Mr. Teza Terry. But there are reports now, there are credible reports rather, that the government of India, of course, cannot be as vocal in talking about these things. But there is a plan to have a pan-Naga kind of a superstructure without altering the present interstate boundaries in the northeastern region. And the Métis are opposed even to that. Now, what do you think? Do you think that can be passed off as an integration, a pan-Naga superstructure?
Yeah, I think the pan-Naga superstructure is better than breaking up the states in the northeast. That the territorial integrity of the other northeastern states should be touched. But
should not be touched. Okay.
So a pan-Naga body, kind of a satellite council, that's a better option compared to other one. I think this satellite council concept will be acceptable to the other governments as well, because there will be no alteration of the boundaries. The people living in the Nagas, living in other states will get development funds from this particular pan-Naga body, and this is one option which can easily be brought to the table, and such examples are already across the world. It's already present and it has been successful.
Now, let me go to Mr. Chuba Ozukom. I'm coming to you in Kohima, to my panelist in Kohima, but Mr. Chuba Ozukom, ultimately whoever has to be in government, they have to get the mandate of the people. There can be no other way. You have to get the mandate of the people, Naga people, at a later stage. We are talking about the interim government, but at the end of the day, I think they has to join the normal electoral system. there could be new political parties being formed in Nagaland, or we can see the Naga groups, leaders of the different Naga political groups joining different political parties. What could ultimately be, Mr. Chubazukum?
No, since the inception of ceasefire agreement, the successive government in Nagaland state, they have also declared, they have also resolved many times that in the event of any political agreement, they will the way for the formation of new government or new dispensation, whatever maybe. So now I feel that after the signing of the final agreement, there has to be an interim government where the present government, the legislatures, the elected members may have to pave the way.
Okay. So that is what they have to give the way. The present government, whichever is in power at the government now, has to make way. Now, Mr. Jamir, the same question to you. Do you think the state government should step down after the agreement to enable the formation of an interim government, like in Mizoram in 1986 after the Mizo Accord? Mr. Jamir.
We cannot compare this Mizo problem with Naga problem. And I'll tell you, in Mizoram, there was only one group of underground people. And that time, there was only one, this government in Mizoram, only Congress government, not a coalition government. So, but in Nagaland here, we have a coalition government. And also, there are so many factions which have agreed to come to the mainstream.
Yeah.
So, I think in order to work out workable mechanism to improve the situation and also to implement the agreement, we definitely require a special mechanism to enforce it. And we are very happy to note that in the past, the entire Naga legislative members have openly, officially stated that once settlement comes, they will pave the way for that. I think we have to see how far this would be practicable or possible.
All right, very important point, very, very clear statement there. But Mr. Jamir, do you predict Naga groups will form political parties now?
Well, I cannot speak on behalf of them because I'm not a member of the underground, so I don't know.
Okay, you are not a member of them, so you don't want to comment. Fair enough. I'm coming to Kohima, but before that, Chuba Uzukum, what should be the priorities of whoever formed a government in Nagaland, interim government I mean? And of course, later, if they formed a government at all after winning the election, what should be the priorities, Mr. Uzukum?
No, maybe for the time being, without conducting the elections, interim government can be set up.
That's okay.
But maybe after a few years, we cannot predict now for how many years interim government will be there. But of course, later on, the election will be there, and they'll have to seek the mandate from the people.
Okay, but that's fine. Interim government should be there, but what should be the priorities is my question. Would you like to answer that, Mr. Uzukum?
The utmost priority will be to start implementing the, agreement between Government of India and political negotiators.
Yeah.
And another thing is how to eradicate the kind of a corruption that we have in our society, and we have to think of progressive and development.
Progressive development. Okay, progressive development. Now, I'm running short of time. Dr. Rosemary Juvisu, how do you think that things are going to pan up in the next days, couple of weeks? When are we expecting the agreement? What are you thinking now? Dr. Rosemary.
Over to Nagaland. And the days ahead is going to be crucial. I think it's going to need the support of all organizations and civil societies and the Naga public also to encourage these groups to come together in peace. And the way ahead has to begin. The priority definitely has to be peace and development, and especially encouraging the younger generation to go ahead.
Okay. I'll come back to you, Dr. Rosemary, in 2 minutes. Now, Professor Mao, your last comments, your concluding remarks, do you think you are a little more optimistic now after the discussions, or do you think things are not going to be all right?
Well, as I said, unless the basic concern and fundamental interests of the people are addressed, and that is touched upon, the heart of the problem is touched upon, I am not at all optimistic. It will be cosmetic solution and not substantial solution. This is what my firm conviction is. So the heart of the problem, the fundamental aspiration of the people should be addressed. And that includes the integration of the contiguous adjoining Naga-dominated areas, mainly Manipur and Arunachal Pradesh states.
Mainly Manipur and Arunachal. Okay.
Along with development package, I don't think it will be a lasting solution. This is my comment.
Arnav, what are your parting words?
Well, I will say that the peace accord is just the beginning, and all the Naga groups should come together, chart a course of future progress. They make a 5-year plan, 10-year plan, form a formula. Before forming an interim government, they should have a power sharing formula. Otherwise, there may be again disagreements after the formation of interim government. They should chart out their road of progress now, and only then sign on the dotted line.
Okay, I think we have lost the video line to Kohima, but I think the audio is okay. Let's go back to Kohima. We can have Dr. Rosemary and others on the screen. Let's have everybody on the screen actually, because yes, Mr. Thezateri, what are your parting words? Because this is a very critical juncture. How soon do you think the accord is going to be signed? Do you think this will be a new Christmas this time?
Yeah, Mr. Ravi have assured that accord will be signed in a few days' time. And definitely what may be the interim arrangement, we should not be worried about it, because the democratic process will be restored. And we will have one legal government. In the past, we have multiple government. We will have one legal government. And this government will go into the details of the agreement. The special rights, special protection that is given to the people, especially the Nagas, will be fully explored, and we will try to harvest the benefit of all these special rights and provision that is given to the Naga people. And that is possible if we all come together and we work together.
Okay. Very interesting statement made there. There will be only one legal government after the agreement is signed in Nagaland. There has been several governments, quote unquote, in the past. Finally, Dr. Rosemary, it will be an interesting time to visit Nagaland this Christmas. I am definitely looking forward to be there. Okay, Rosemary is disconnected. Can you hear me, Dr. Rosemary? Mr. Thezateri can give the phone line to Dr. Rosemary so that she can hear. So this is my final question to Dr. Rosemary. Yes, that will be interesting. This is how we conduct debates in the northeastern region, where the connectivity is always poor. Yes, my final comments, Dr. Rosemary, it's an interesting time to come to Nagaland this Christmas. I am definitely looking forward to be there with you all this Christmas.
You must, Wasbir. You must come. This will probably be the best Christmas for all Nagas.
Absolutely, with that standing invitation from none other than Dr. Rosemary Juvisu, I'm looking forward to be in Nagaland this Christmas and join Dr. Rosemary, Taja Terry, Chuwa Zukum, and everybody in celebrating the Naga agreement, assuming that it is going to be signed by then. On this note, I end this edition of Notice Tonight. I thank all my panelists for being present in this very, very engaging discussion. We are all awaiting a final positive settlement to the decades-long Naga issue. Thank you very much for watching and for being on the program. Good night and goodbye.